Hello everyone, my name is Thaddeus Inquivaya, and today I have made a podcast on the topic sexism, and I don't currently have any co-hosts or guests. Now for the name of the episode/podcast is Sexism in Our Modern World, and in this episode we will be looking over some of the facts of sexism that is happening in our modern day-to-day activities. Now, if you didn't know the real definition of sexism, it is prejudice, stereotyping, or discrimination typically against women or the basis of sex. Well, in today's jobs, everyone knows that there are multiple types of discriminations, but one of the more evident ones currently is sexism. One thing that most people have known about for a while in sexism is the clear pay gap, that is their salary. And in today's average in pay of a full-time working woman is at the median making around $45,097 a year, while the full-time working man earns around $55,209 a year, which means that men are making on average about 10,112 more US dollars than women are in a year. That fact feels unfair because some women may be in more need than the men are for money so that they can support their families. And if all of that information is really true, then it just doesn't seem fair towards women who may work even harder than their male coworkers. And that is according to my source, https www.aauw.org, research the simple truth about the gender pay gap. Even if it is true, in today's workplace, statistics show that on average, about 4 out of every 10 working women claim to have experienced discrimination during their day-to-day work just because of their gender, and multiple of the women are able to report about some kind of experience like being paid less than a man with the same job or even being passed over during a big project, based on surveys that had been conducted right before a massive wave of misconduct toward allegations against some prominent politicians. They found that for all the adults that are working, about twice as many women have been found to say that they have experienced any type of sexism. I think it's sad that many people have to go through that experience at work where they're trying to make a living to support their families. In today's workplace, there are some stereotypes that women have taken up through their time of work. Some examples of this is that they may get remarks about their body from their coworkers that are men. Another example of these stereotypes is that women can sometimes be mistaken for the office temp, otherwise known as an office maid, so they might ask them to get something for them or maybe even clean a mess up. And the last stereotype that I will be going over is that sometimes women will be asked if they have kids or are married or just have a boyfriend just because of their gender. To me, those stereotypes seem unjust to women because I don't understand how do you get those stereotypes from working at an office building. It just doesn't make sense. Because from their 20s, women find they are constantly asked when they are going to get a boyfriend, get married, and have children, as if women's worth lies only in their marital status and childbearing capabilities. Unfortunately, in today's life, this is what most people still believe, that a life without children is a life unfulfilled, that a woman who is unmarried and childless is an unwoman-like thing. And apart from all of that, some people might have different opinions on what work looks like. Some people may think working in an office building is working, but other people may think sports is a type of work. So heading on over to how sports may have been affected by sexism. Starting off in today's Olympics, men's decathlon has been contested since 1912, but still women have not had any major recognition in any major championships. For example, in tennis, while men have 5 sets in the Grand Slams, while women only have 3. Another thing is that there is a pretty significant gender gap in the participation of women in sports, and is about 1.5 million fewer women participate in sports at least once a month, and along with that, there is a clear gender gap in special levels of sports on all levels because women only make up 18% of qualified coaches and only 9% of senior coaches. And that is for almost half of the 49% of the publicly funded national governing bodies, and even less than half of their board are women. An example of sexist pays in professional sports is that Sylvia Fowles led in the WNBA in field goal percentage, finished second in rebounding per game, tied for second in blocks per game, and ranked 5th in points per game. Her team, the Minnesota Lynx, also finished with the best record in the WNBA. For all this, Foles was named the field MVP, and even by this, she only managed to earn $900,000 that year, while Leandro Barbosa is scheduled to get around $500,000 from the Phoenix Suns because of his activity on the team throughout the past year. And the funny thing is that he won't even be playing for the Suns. Anyways, I don't think there's any real reason to be paying him, and that is all according to my source, https://www.4bs.com, cites David Burry 2017/09/20. There is a growing gender wage gap in professional basketball. And the main reason for women wanting to do sports is they have enjoyment of doing the sport. They like to feel in good shape, good health, and they like to keep their weight under control, along with their appearance and social factors. Conversely, the main barriers to being active include a participation of not being in the sporty type, or low self-efficiency for being active, often as a result of past experiences, lack of time and cost, and awareness of motives and barriers for women's participation has been the starting point for the policies to increase participation. And that is all according to my source, rte.ie/brainstorm/2017. The gender play gap. Why aren't more women playing sports? And then some of the most popular stereotypes that women have picked up over sports are things like you throw like a girl, because people assume that women are weak. Another stereotype that women have is you hit like a girl, because of them being thought as fragile people that can't inflict anything. And the last one, women are bad at sports because they are not capable of getting things done themselves, which is thought to make them bad at sports. And some solutions that I think could get us in the right direction of getting over sexism is including women into our day-to-day things more thoroughly, and not admitting stereotypes to them that might make them feel left out. And ending off this podcast on what we've covered today is sexism in wage, the gender gap, in differences in sports, and most importantly, steps to take to address the problem. And I think that everyone can do a part in an act to end sexism by having us all start by being aware of this discrimination and that we shouldn't ignore it. Thank you for listening today to my first podcast, and have a good rest of your day.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.